Well, I appreciate the Fed's efforts. So the liberal members on the FOMC are desperately trying to have a great midterm election for the Democrats and to support Joe Biden. That's the only explanation I can come up with why people like Lael Brainard is now espousing multiple 50 basis point rate hikes in conjunction with massive QT.
Yeah.
So the last QT, I think, was capped at $50 billion per month, $50 or $60 billion per month. So a combination of treasuries and mortgage-backed securities. I think we're going to have $100 billion starting in May roll off per month, quantitative tightening, which is, again, very important. What is quantitative tightening? It's the opposite of QE. It is the destruction of the monetary base. It's the destruction of money. Bonds have to be floated to the public, which were once purchased by the Fed, and that money, the proceeds, goes to the Federal Reserve for destruction. It's much more deflationary than just raising the Fed funds rate by 25 basis points here or there.
Yeah.
They're all on board. I think they're panicking because they understand, they being both the liberal and the more conservative parts of the Fed, most of them are liberals, they understand that the people that get hurt the most from inflation are the lower classes, the middle to lower classes, because they spend most of their income on heating, and driving, clothes, and food. So that's why they and rent.
Yeah.
40% of Americans have no savings at all and they rent. So they're going to sacrifice Wall Street for Main Street for a while. Now you ask the question.
They're going to try, is what you mean.
They're going to, exactly, Jay. And I appreciate their efforts. It's about time. It's about darn time they got their butts in gear. They're way behind. This BS about equilibrium on the Fed funds rate. Well, we were below 2% inflation for so many years, and now we have to be above 2% for so many years. They're going to try to get inflation down to 2% as fast as possible before the midterms, which means they're going to get maybe 4 or 5 hikes in, combination of the Fed funds rate of 1.25 to 150. They'll never get to 2.5 because they're going to destroy the credit markets on the way.
Right.
And I just want to add one, I just button this up. The reason why they cannot get there is because every time the Fed has tried to reinflate asset prices following a recession, think 2000, think 2008, think 2020, every time they do that, they make the economic fundamentals weaker. In other words, they take on a tremendous amount of new debt, both in nominal terms and as a percentage of GDP.
Yep.
Which all that means is that the interest rate that can support that debt goes lower, lower, and lower. That's why they'll never get to where they're going, but they're going to get there and destroy something along the way. They would love to see, most of the liberal members on the Fed would love to see the Democrats maintain hold of Congress and the Senate. They have a 1-seat majority in the Senate. They would love to see that hold, and that doesn't mean they don't care about inflation and the lower classes. They're being destroyed by inflation. I mean, let's be honest, Jay. The Fed has a very difficult time hitting benchmarks. So they tried to get to 2% inflation for many years. Most of the time they failed miserably the way they measure it. All the inflation was on Wall Street. It wasn't in CPI, Consumer Price Index, or the PCE deflator. It wasn't there. It was on Wall Street. Then they thought of a great idea. Well, let's try to adopt and enact universal basic income. Let's send everybody $6 trillion out in the mail and tell them if they go out of the house, they're going to die of COVID-19. Well, if you do that, then you have a lot of buying power, but very few goods and services to absorb that new money. Most of it was printed by Jerome Powell, alacrity.
Yeah.
So of course you have inflation. That's where all the inflation came from. So inflation didn't go to 2% or 3%. It went to 8%. And if you measured it accurately, it's 20%. 20%. You look at rents, price of meat, price of groceries, home price appreciation, it's 20. So if you measured it pre-Boskin Commission, we have 20% year-over-year inflation. It's crushing those middle and lower classes. Well, what's the biggest component of inflation? The basket of inflation is owner's equivalent rent. It's some 40% of the CPI calculation. So I mean, you've priced out first-time home buyers in this country. You just can't afford a home. You can't do it. Right. And if your rent is going up in commensurate fashion with real estate, so your rents are up 20%, your home prices are up 20%, they got a huge problem on their hand.
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information. And it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
I have bad news for you. If you're not rich by now, you're screwed. And if you're in debt, you're even double screwed. How so, you might wonder? Well, the sad truth is that you're working your whole life to make someone else rich. The mega corporations, the banks, the politicians, everyone is getting richer. They get your money. And what is even worse, they get your time, they get your life. You are not even in a rat race. You're in a financial prison. But what could a solution for you look like? Honestly, I don't know, but I know what a solution for me would look like. It's very simple. I use whatever money I have and I multiply it with 1,000. This could make my life much easier and probably yours as well. If you have $1,000 available and multiply this with 1,000, I believe that this could solve some financial issue for the one or the other. Of course, if you're ugly, you would have to multiply it with much more than 1,000. My name is Marco Stan, and this is what I decided to do. I decided to 1000x my money. This is not a joke. I know what you may be thinking. What is this guy talking about? How should this work? This is not possible. Well, I made a detailed video where I laid out my plan. And some clever folks might even want to look at this plan and copy it and do exactly what I do. This is just a little hint on the side. You have two options. You leave, you forget what you have seen. You do whatever you're doing and you hope that somehow you get some other results. Good luck with that. Or you click the link below the video. You enter your email address because I'm not showing this to everybody. You at least watch my video on how I plan to 1000x my money. The choice is yours. Make the right choice. Join me. See what a different future you could have. See at least how I intend, how I plan to do the 1000x. So click on the link below, enter your email address, and I see you on the other side. Your Marco Stan.